Hi, everyone. Welcome to One Temple Fitness's Pour Me a Drink Temple Talk. Today, Dr. Rogers and I are going to be discussing how alcohol impacts our mood and overall health. Before we begin, please put your phones and computer on mute during the talk, and we'll be taking questions and comments at the end. So for today on our agenda, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to do a brief introduction into what One Temple Fitness is, and then what does it mean to honor our bodies while consuming adult libations. Then we're going to specifically break that down pertaining to brain, behavior, and health. Then, of course, we're going to go into our food and mood component that we always include, and then we have our recipe highlight for the month. Please make sure to download today's worksheet at http://7fire8.com/documents, meetup notes, and workouts. In addition, our reflection question for today really is about what is your history with alcohol when it pertains to your culture, your family background, your own personal background with alcohol. But more importantly, we really want you to reflect on the environments that you're in and how that either negatively or positively impacts your consumption of alcohol. So who is One Temple Fitness? We're really grounded on the scripture that's here on the slide. And it goes like, "Don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in your midst? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy that person. For God's temple is sacred, and you together are that temple." And that comes from 1 Corinthians 3:16-17. And so we really are, our practice, the way that we engage people in our work is based on that we're here to stimulate the mind, strengthen the body, and strengthen the spirit. And we're able to do that through our monthly temple talks like the one today and through our monthly group workouts.
So as Aaron talked about and really emphasized the reflection questions, another one I would like to add that people often ask, should Christians drink alcohol? Well, today we are going to explore what the Bible has to say about that. So, honoring our bodies. Have you ever used or have you ever heard people say, do you frequently use the excuse, well, Jesus drank wine? Because in John 2:1-11, it does state that Jesus changed water into wine. However, in Proverbs 20:1, it says, "Wine is a mocker, strong drink is a brawler, and whoever is led astray by it is not wise." Additionally, the New Testament says in Ephesians 5:18, "And be not drunk with wine, wherein excess, but be filled with the Spirit." So this is very important to know and understand and highlight that, yes, the Bible does talk about wine and the consumption of wine, and it alludes to the fact how it is okay, but liquor and stronger drinks not okay. And this is important to know because 1 Peter 5:8 does say, "Be alert and of a sober mind." This is important because if you read 1 Peter 5:8, it states how the enemy, the devil, it actually prowls and preys on people who are not alert and of a sober mind. So according to the CDC, about 38 million adults in the U.S. drink too much alcohol. For men, binge drinking is 5 or more drinks consumed on one occasion, and they're defining one occasion within a 2 to 3 hour period. For women, binge drinking is 4 or more drinks consumed on one occasion in that 2 to 3 hour time block. So if you were to drink a wine bottle in a 2 to 3 hour time period, that's approximately 4 drinks. If you do that in one setting, that is technically considered binge drinking. So it is good to understand and know how much are you drinking. And to take it a step further, let's think about our blood alcohol content. So if we drink a bottle of wine, let's say during happy hour, in a 2 to 3 hour window, one, how much of it is our body really processing for us to be safe and drive, or even be safe and make responsible decisions? And two, if we're supposed to be alert and of a sober mind, how much are we consuming in that time period, and what type of decisions are we making in that time period? In addition, 15 or more drinks on average per week, and 8 or more drinks on average per week for men and women respectively. And so it's something to also think, how much do you drink during the week? Also, drinking should never be done by pregnant women. And I do know some women who choose to breastfeed and drink, and they use a method called pump and dump. However, you have to be careful with pump and dump to, number one, make sure you have enough breast milk in the refrigerator so you can use that method. And number two, that enough time has passed that all of the alcohol is out of your system. But I really caution my clients and other people to try to not use that method, because you really do not want to pass this on to the baby, any type of poison, if you will, to the baby. And then, of course, alcohol under any age used by those 21 is not healthy at all. And as we know, it is illegal. So from the biblical standpoint and from the CDC, the research standpoint, I really want you to reflect on how much do you drink, and in what time period do you drink this alcohol? But more importantly, what function is it serving? Because it's impacting you, but what function is it serving? So let's see how it's impacting you. So brain, a lot of people use it for stress management. But if you look at the figure on your right-hand side, first, alcohol affects the forebrain and assaults motor coordination and decision making. So the forebrain is a part of our bodies that is actually developed from a very young age because it involves the motor coordination, so the movement aspect. Then alcohol knocks out the midbrain, and you lose control over emotions and increase chances of a blackout. Because of where alcohol sits on the brain, that is why it affects the area what we know as the limbic system. And three, finally, alcohol batters the brain stem, which is our most primitive part of the brain that is formed, as it affects heart rate, body temperature, appetite, and consciousness, a dangerous and potential fatal condition. So, although we look at alcohol to be used as stress management, this is even further. So we may feel de-stress because we're feeling relaxed, which is affecting the forebrain with the motor coordination and decision making, not necessarily thinking as clearly. And particularly if you drink under the age of 21, your prefrontal cortex, so this part of the brain, is not even fully developed, and therefore it is a higher chance for you to even form an addiction over time. So that is something to also be mindful of. Behavior, culture, and celebrations. In different cultures, alcohol is a part of it, whether it's a part of the Armenian culture, the Nigerian culture, the Jewish culture. Alcohol is frequently a part of many celebrations and traditions. And so understanding how alcohol plays a part in your particular culture and in celebrations, and what type of behavior do you have around alcohol? Are you able to consume it on a healthy level, or if you don't want to consume it, not engage in it at all. Coordination, again, so just even moving and making decisions, as we talked about in the brain aspect. And then also it enhances primitive nature, so aggression, appetite, and sexual desires. So everybody responds differently on alcohol. Some people, they become aggressive, some people become more sexual, and some people have an increase in appetite. However, you'll notice a correlation to how does that person act when they're sober. If they're usually aggressive, then that means alcohol just makes them more aggressive. Alcohol does not induce aggression, it just enhances the primitive nature that the person is already, what the person already possesses. And lastly, health. So it affects your appetite as well as your workout. So too much alcohol can affect your health. So it has poor control of diabetes, loss of muscle, enlarged heart, and high blood pressure, irregular pulse. Also brain damage, such as the loss of memory. It can induce hallucinations, which are perception-like experiences, as well as dementia, which is an overall term for cognitive decline. And then risk of chest infection, as well as hepatitis, of course, cirrhosis of the liver, and then risk of sexually transmitted infections and HIV. And they have that because most of the time when you consume a large amount of alcohol, you do make poor decisions. So food and mood, cheers to the season, part 2, because we're still in the season. Last month, we celebrated Thanksgiving, and this month, we have Christmas coming up, Hanukkah, as well as Kwanzaa, and then we can't forget about New Year's. And so most of the time in those celebrations, there's alcohol. Even end of semester parties, if you're in a class or school, work obligations, so end of the year work parties, and even friends. So in November we had Friendsgiving, and this month we have holiday parties with friends. So be mindful again that alcohol does affect your metabolism, because once the alcohol is ingested, the body now focuses on metabolizing the alcohol. And so therefore, the fat oxidation stops, and then weight gain and or slow metabolism is actually induced. So instead of your body focusing on processing things that you may have ate, it's trying to really process the alcohol out of your body. And that becomes the priority in the metabolic process. And so your body won't metabolize other fats and sugars as efficiently. And this is really important to know, because most of the time when you drink alcohol, you don't have the healthiest foods. Some people may have fruit or hummus and vegetables, or maybe even pita chips and guacamole, something a little more healthier. Some people may have popcorn and make it homemade, so it doesn't have the extra fat and salt. But most of the time it's pizza or wings, or even eating excess. So even let's say you're a vegetarian, but you eat excess of the options that still may not be the healthier options. So that is something to be aware of. And also, it does affect your mood. So alcohol is a depressant, and that's why it pseudo de-stresses you. So you may be wondering, what does pseudo distress mean? Well, it means it falsely distresses you. A little bit of alcohol, let's say a glass of wine or your favorite drink on the rocks, it brings you down. But the more you consume, it actually becomes a depressant. It depresses your nervous system, as we saw, in terms of your brainstem and just your basic functionings, all the way to your prefrontal cortex, where you have the higher level decision making and functioning. And so when you choose to drink, again, ask yourself, what is the space that you're drinking in? And if you're using it as a coping mechanism, then I really encourage you to consult your physician or seek out help from a therapist to really process what role alcohol plays in your life. So today's bottom line: drinking, clubbing, sex, etc. will never fill that void of emptiness. Only God can. Stop trying to medicate your problems with temporary solutions, or as I like to call it with my clients, temporary fixes. God has the peace you need. Seek Him. So this is Dr. Rogers signing off. And as I always tell people, you change your mind, you change your thoughts, and your whole world will be changed.
So, what can you do day to day, right? We provided you with a lot of information, a lot of facts and data. We always encourage you to go and do your own research, but we also want to provide you with something tangible that you can actually try yourself. And so that's what the recipe of the month is for. And so the recipe is a healthy holiday mojito, since we're on the topic of alcohol. Before we get into the ingredients and how to make it, we want to also encourage you to do some more research around what are some healthier, more natural ways of including things into our drinks and into our foods. So one of the things you're going to notice is that we have agave in this drink, we have lime juice, there's mint leaves, there's a lot of really natural ingredients in here. And so the reason why we're doing that, well, for one, with agave, it's less refined than many sweeteners, and it's often considered more natural. So this is another way for you to sweeten up your drink without having to rely on soda or juices or other sweeteners that might be a little bit more heavy on the sugar. Other things to think about when it comes to alcoholic drinks is that, you know, one drink could take a huge portion of what we consider your daily intake, how much you're supposed to be taking in a day of sugar. So for instance, for a vodka cranberry, a very popular drink that a lot of us tend to drink, that has 7.5 teaspoons of sugar, which pretty much is 60% of your daily intake. So by having that one drink, you are pretty much having more than the intake of sugar that you're supposed to have a day. Another example, rum and Coke, another really popular drink, that has 7 teaspoons of sugar, which is 55% of our daily intake. Other things that are mentioned, white wine, that has 1.5 teaspoons, a lot less than those previous drinks we just mentioned, which then is about 2.5% of the daily intake. And then for red wine, that's a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar, and that's 2% of intake. So knowing this information, you know, we definitely encourage you to be more mindful of the drinks that you order. And obviously we want you to be mindful of how many of those drinks you drink, but definitely before you order an adios, think about what exactly is being put in there and how much of it is sugar. So with the ingredients for the healthy holiday mojito, all you need is lime juice, 1/4 cup of lime juice, 1/4 cup of organic raw blue agave, 2 cups of Perrier lime. You can find all these ingredients in the local grocery store. A handful of fresh mint leaves. So what you're going to do is you're just going to put all these ingredients together, lightly shake because you don't want it to fizz too much. You can stir it, and then you can garnish it with more lime if you would like, or fresh lime. What we've come to find is that if you let these ingredients kind of sit over time, it tends to make the flavors a little bit stronger. So, if you want to have it, a little bit stronger and taste a little bit more fresh, have those ingredients kind of mixed together. So have fun with it. If you end up making it, please end up tagging us on our Instagram, and we would love to hear your thoughts on this healthier alternative to our typical sugary alcoholic drinks. So we've come to the end. We want to thank you so much for participating in One Temple Fitness's Pour Me a Drink Temple Talk, and we hope that you've discovered a new way to approach your goals in life. Of course, we want you to stay connected, so please go to our website, which is www.7fire8.com, for weekly devotional and empowerment blogs, a calendar of our upcoming meetups and group workouts, and then also our merchandise. This is a great time, a great season to purchase not only something for yourself, but purchase a One Temple Fitness workout towel or shirt for those that you love. Another way to stay connected is to like our pages. So for Instagram, follow us at onetemplefitness.fire, and then like our Facebook page, which is at facebook.com/7fire8. We're extremely happy because we're celebrating our anniversary this week. It's been 1 year for One Temple Fitness, and today's Temple Talk and tomorrow's group workout at Walker Temple AME Church from 9 to 10:30 a.m. are going to be our last events for 2016. This year has truly been a blessing, and we're beyond appreciative of everyone who supported us along the way. And we encourage you to stay tuned for our 2017 calendar of Temple Talks and group workouts, and just get ready to go higher in your journey. Thank you so much, and let us know what you think.